Just terrible. It was a terrible time. And now, it wasn't that my parents didn't have a house. My parents were living out in Essex at the time. They had a house, but I knew that by being out there, I wouldn't be meeting the right people. I knew I had to be here. In order to meet the right people, I had to be here. And while I was here, that was a really depressing time for me. But that was also the time where I got emotionally lean. I learned to deal with most of the crap. Now, nothing that I have today compares with what I felt then. And it also makes me unafraid of going back to that period because I know that I got through it. You get emotionally lean in those tough moments. Next, you have to believe that if you do everything, that if you work hard, you're going to get the result. You have to believe that. You have to believe that if you do everything right, or if you actually put the work in, you're going to get the result. If you don't, it's a torturous battle trying to get through it all. You have to believe that if I do this stuff, if I work hard, it will happen for me. It will happen. I will get what I deserve. And I genuinely believe, I have a core belief that if you work hard, you'll be rewarded. I really believe that. If you work hard, you'll be rewarded. That doesn't mean there aren't some smarter ways of working hard than others, but I just believe at the end of the day, if you do your homework, you'll get rewarded in any area of life. And lastly, I think you have to be a little bit mental. I honestly do. I honestly believe that to become a really successful entrepreneur, you've got to be a little bit fucking crazy. Most of the people that I know that are really good, that are at the top of their game, they're a little nuts. They're not necessarily nuts in front of people, but they're a little nuts. They're functioning nutcases. That's what they are. You know how you get functioning alcoholics? These people are like functioning nutcases. And there is kind of a little obsessive streak in them that says, I got to get ahead, I got to get ahead, I got to do this. Even if I've been rejected on the phone 20 times, I've got to make the 21st call. I've got to keep going. They have that in them. And I believe we have to have that because I think the road is too long. Like, I genuinely think starting your own business and going down that road is difficult. And I wouldn't let anyone tell you that it's not. I think it's really difficult. I had a moment at the end of, and I'll wrap up with this point before we do a couple of questions. I had this moment at the end of one of my seminars. One of the businesses that I have is called Get the Guy. And it's a business that coaches women in their love lives. Now, this business, I've been running events in this area for the last 2-3 years. I got to the end of an event and I'd been speaking for probably 12 hours on Saturday and again on Sunday. It'd been a long, long 2 days. Not only that, but obviously when you do a weekend seminar, it's on the back of a long, long week as well. So I got to the end of the Sunday and I'd given everything. I'd given all of my energy. I was really pumped and I got to the end of the weekend and I'm like, every part of my energy from the last 7 days is just like gone. I need to sleep. But I always try and, after an event, go for a drink with the people that have been on the event, just to catch up, just to kind of get to know them on a more personal level. And I was sat there, and one of the women sitting next to me said, Matt, you look really tired. And I said, I am really tired. How is that? Like, what is wrong with that? I'm tired, yes. She said, but you look really tired. She said, you've got to look after yourself. And I said, I am. It's the end of Sunday night. I'm just tired. It's okay. It's cool. And she said, you know, it doesn't have to be this difficult, right? And I said, and I knew she was about to pull the law of attraction out on me, right? Because people usually do at this point. So she started talking about the law of attraction. And she said, you know, if you believe it's difficult, it will be difficult. And if you believe that it's easy, it will be easy. And this was a point where I was starting to get to the end of my tether. Because when you hear that stuff, you know what someone is saying. What they're really saying is, you have to set something up to be something that you enjoy, not something that you find difficult. And what this person didn't quite understand is that my life is, every day is tough because there's a lot to do. Anyone in this room who is working all the time will tell you that the days are long. There's a lot to do. It's pretty tiring, but you love it. That's why you do it, because you love it, because you wouldn't be doing anything else, because it's exhilarating, it's exciting, but it's not easy. And we live in this self-help culture where self-help almost has a fear of calling things difficult. It's like it needs everything to be easy. And so it always talks about things being easy. If you label it easy, it will be easy. And if, and it's just not. I have found that going through this road, running a business, trying to master the art of coaching and speaking at the same time as trying to master the art of business, running the retreats that I do across the world, doing the impact programs, it's tiring, but I love it and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. So where I'll finish is this. In the beginning, it's very likely that you'll feel more pain than pleasure. You'll have this moment where starting anything new, there's like this novelty, right? You'll have this little novelty period where it's kind of fun. Then reality sets in and it becomes kind of difficult. And the novelty wears off and then the hard work begins and then it feels tough. But it will never stop being tough because there'll always be stuff to do and there'll always be an element of hard work as long as you're really working on it, okay? Unless you remove yourself from your business, there will always be an element of hard work. But there comes a point where it becomes so exciting that completely outdoes any of that hard work or pain that you feel. It's on a whole different level. And that's what I feel now. It's really tough. There's a lot to do. It's exhausting, but it's also the most exhilarating journey I've ever had, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. Thank you for your time. I really appreciated speaking to you. I've appreciated you giving me your time and allowing me to be your coach for an hour. It's been a real pleasure. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to do a couple of questions now, guys. So anything you want to
ask? Your business, was it called Get the Guy or something like that?
Yeah.
Team up with 21, sorted. Definitely.
Well, I often, in the women's seminars that I do, there's always a couple of women that say, why don't you just put us all in a room together with the guys that you coach? Like every single time. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't want to be the one in the middle of that when it all goes wrong.
All right, so you were talking about doing a lot of things and just having a lot of plates. Isn't there maybe a fear of commitment as well if you have a lot of plates going and you have that novelty that you have over there and you just get a little glimpse of everything, but you never really commit. So how do you get past that and just get past your fear of committing to one thing?
Okay, this is a really good question, actually. There are two things. One, when something starts to work, you'll know it will work because it will become quite exciting because you'll start to see some results from it. So as a result, you start to focus more on it, okay? So that's one answer, but some people can see results from something and still fear committing to it. Like, for example, when I started Get the Guy, long before I was doing Get the Guy, I was coaching people in their confidence, I was working with businessmen, I was working with all different people. What I was concerned about was that with Get the Guy, I would become the dating guy for women. And that was something that was in my head. It was like, well, I love coaching, I love working with all people. I don't want to be pigeonholed as this guy. I put to you that any credibility you build in an area can be used to swing over to another branch. So once you build credibility in one area, I honestly believe in life that the key is to become successful in something. Because if you become successful in something, people in another domain, even though it might not be related, look at you and say, oh, well, he's done something well, we should give him a shot. But if you've never been successful at anything, that's when people have difficulty trusting you. So I was coaching a model who's been a very successful model for the last few years, and now he's starting to branch out into doing films, right? That's nothing to do with modeling. But because he's successful there, people might actually give him a shot over here in a world that's completely unrelated. And as Exhibit C, I'm standing here today talking to you about entrepreneurship. I didn't start here, nor did I have the credibility in the beginning of my career to talk about this. The only reason I'm talking about this right now is because with Get the Guy and with MatthewHussey.com, I've taken those to a position of strength. So when you build credibility in one area, it will feed into other areas. Don't become a commitment phobe about committing to one thing. Because when you commit to that, you're building credibility, which can be used for other things later on. Does that make sense? Okay.
Hiya. My question, you were talking about that thing about most things will fall flat. I don't know if I misunderstood what you were saying, but when you said that, I thought, what the fuck? Can you give me some examples, other than your property thing, that you missed the opportunity? Can you give me some examples from your personal experience that fell flat? I mean, you said most things. I was thinking some things, not most things. So can you give me some of your examples?
And by the way, as you get better, you'll find that you start getting on target more. But in the beginning, definitely most things will fall flat. What I mean by that is not necessarily the whole business will fall flat, but things within it will fall flat. So you've got this person that calls you up and he seems like your biggest client so far. And you go, this is great. And then a day later he says, actually, I changed my mind. And you spend all night thinking that was going to be a great thing that transformed your business, and they go, no, actually, I'm not bothered. If I look at the corporates that I've coached, now by this point, and this is what I really mean. If I look at the clients that I've coached, if I give people my biography, it looks really, really good, right? Because I've got Coca-Cola, I've got Virgin, I've got Morgan Stanley, I've got Accenture, I've got Procter & Gamble, all these amazing people. That's like the 2% that said yes. The rest of them along the way didn't want to know me. Now that those people have hired me, they all do. But before that, most of them were falling flat. Most of them you go and speak to and they go, well, I'm not sure. And it wouldn't go anywhere. But all you need to do is collect enough wins that you get to the next level. That's it. It's like a computer game. Just collect enough wins that you get to the next level, and then people are going to give you different opportunities. We had one here and one here, I think.
Just a couple of observations when you were talking about what makes entrepreneurs different to the rest of us. Something that I've picked up myself, and you touched upon it. You said what you're passionate about, won't actually be work. I really believe in that. If you're really passionate about something, you'll love it. So it won't seem like work. So that's something I've found. And also there was some research done as to what drove entrepreneurs to success. And one of the reasons was this attitude of, I'll show them.
This is what I mean by the crazy streak.
Yeah. Well, it's also about, I'll show that teacher who said I'll amount to nothing.
Yeah, but think about that. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, it's completely mental. It's like saying, that girl rejected me when I was 12, so I'm going to spend the rest of my life getting girls to show her. It doesn't make sense. It's complete nonsense. But you're right. You're right. Most of the entrepreneurs that I know, they have that weird streak in the back of their mind. Mine was that my family was always kind of a roller coaster financially, and I never felt in control. And without going into the details of it, it was like it became a force for me that I had to go out and never be out of control in that area again. And it became almost this obsession with getting ahead and making sure that I'm never back in that position again, and that I can look after my family and I can give them everything I want. When I actually look at it, it's like the people I care about now, they don't really want a jet and a hot tub and this and that and the other. But in my head, you go extreme and you go, I'm going to get them everything. I'm going to buy them a country, because that's an emotional reason. But I think there's a lot of value in having an emotional reason, because I think it drives you in a completely different way.
What drove me as I was growing up due to my family circumstances was if you read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, even the thing that people fear more than death itself is actually the fear of poverty. And that's what really drove me.
Right. Yeah. And it will be. In the beginning, what gets you to start a business is very different from what gets you to carry on in the later stages. What got me to start was fear and panic. I was like, I never want to be doing a job that I hate, because although I think all roads in life are tough, I don't think being an entrepreneur is any more difficult than doing anything else. But I think you have to choose what difficult means to you. Difficult to me isn't working hard. Difficult to me is being in a job that is sapping my soul for the rest of my life. That's difficult for me. So that's what drives me. But as you start to get more success, it will be excitement that drives you, not fear and panic.
Hi, yeah, really enjoyed the speech, Matt. Thanks a lot. It was quite inspiring to see someone derive so much happiness from the pursuit of happiness, so to speak, kind of following on from that comment. Just on the whole, I've got loads of questions, but I'll just draw one from it. I just wonder whether you could comment on the idea of whether you think there's, drawing from this spinning plates analogy, whether you think there's kind of like a J-curve principle involved with the span of your attention and the probability of failure based on potentially spreading yourself too thin, whether there's kind of like a sweet spot on the number of pursuits you should begin with and try and draw success from and see what fails and what hits.
Yeah, I think there definitely is. I think the key is when you're spinning plates to keep them within the bounds of what you're doing, if that makes sense. So, for example, if I'm running a new program that I'm doing, let's say one new program that I did last year that has become a permanent fixture is a retreat, okay? Now that retreat, in the beginning, I didn't know what it was going to be. All I knew is I wanted to take people out to an exotic location and work with them personally for 5 days. I didn't know what that was going to be at the time. Now, that's very different. Spreading my focus in that way is very different from saying, maybe I should invest in a car wash. Like, that would be an interesting opportunity. Someone's told me the cash flow stacks up, I'll do it. Because that's like a completely different focus. And actually, an interesting point, I had a property. I had bought early on, I'd bought a small house outside of London. Now, this house over time was appreciating, and had I kept it, it would have made me money. But every other week, I would have a call from the people who were the tenants in that house talking to me about this and, oh, the toilet broke and the sink broke and this, that and the other. And I wouldn't want like the hassle of going outside London to do it. Because if I went outside London, it'd take me a whole day out of my schedule. That would cost me many thousands of pounds in work done in London. So in the end, I thought, well, despite the fact that anyone who owns property would say, hold on to a property, this was not good for me. It divided my focus, and in the end, even though I knew that I was giving up an opportunity, I sold the house because I said, this isn't helping with my core focus. If I'm spinning plates, I'm going to try and make sure that they're all within the scope of what it is I'm trying to do, so that if I'm coaching a corporate, that's great because it gives me credibility in other areas. If I'm coaching a big seminar room of people, that's great because some of these people are from corporates and they'll bring me into their corporate and I'll end up coaching their corporate. So it all kind of works together. Even though they're diverse, they all feed into each other. And that's, I think, how our lives should be. Even though you're spinning plates in areas where they will feed into each other and not be abrasive together. Okay? That's it. All right. Guys, thank you so much. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I know you've got a packed schedule. Have an amazing time, and I will speak to you soon. Lovely to see you.